Hi folks, I wanted to take a few moments and talk about the revision process as it applies to your professional language and culture report that you're finishing up. And I know how frustrating it can be to have to go over our writing time and time again to get it to where it needs to be. But I know, at least for me, even after 25 years of writing extensively, I need to go through and carefully proofread, edit, and revise my work on a continual basis. And when I'm writing research papers like the one you're working on right now, oftentimes it takes me 5 or more times going through the paper to even get it to that point where it's ready to be turned in as a final draft. Now, I'm not saying that's how much time each of you have to spend on yours. I'm kind of a perfectionist in that regard, but it can be frustrating, I realize, to have to take that extra time and go through and find those common errors that all of us make that need to be fixed through the editing process. But I think even more importantly, to step back and look at our writing from a different perspective. And that's why, one of my professors pointed out in one of my writing classes the importance of revision, looking at it not as an editing exercise or not as punishment, for example, but actually to look at revision in 2 parts. Revision. So in other words, step back, look at our writing from a new and fresh perspective, and think about, have we covered this topic as effectively as we can? Have we expressed everything in a way that our audience can relate with? And for me, I have to do that in phases. It's not like I can sit down and crank out a research paper of this nature in a couple of days. It takes me usually a couple of weeks at least to do a paper like this, and that's why we had you do it in part, because the research process takes time. It takes time to put all the pieces together. It takes time to go back over the work and make sure that everything flows together effectively too. So that's why I like to space things out, and I even get to the point where I need to step away from my work for a while. And after I've got a decent draft in place, maybe go and do something I enjoy, like swim some laps or go out fishing or go out in the woods. And it allows me to recharge my batteries and come back to my writing from a fresh perspective. So I guess that's what I encourage you folks to do, is get your draft as far as long as you can and then set it aside, allow it to marinate, as one of my former students so aptly described the process, and then come back and look at your piece from a fresh perspective and look for ways that you can improve this paper even further, because you've got a fresh mind, because, for example, you have a good night's sleep under your belt. I know that's very important to me. I can't write or revise when I'm tired. I need to set aside my work, get a good night's sleep, and then come back at it the next day with a fresh perspective. And don't be discouraged by this either, folks, because this is something that professional writers have to do as well. And I've got another text here that I use in another class. It's called Steps to Writing Well, and they point out here regarding the revision process an example from Hemingway, where he had to write A Farewell to Arms 39 times just to get the words right in his conclusion. So I guess that's encouraging to me, that if it takes a writer of Hemingway's caliber 39 times to get his conclusion right, well, how much work and effort does Dave have to put into his writing to make his work worthwhile as well? So I just want to pass on that encouragement to all of you folks. Take the time to go through and edit and revise your work, because it'll really pay off as far as finding those common errors that all of us make. Don't make me correct your paper. Clean those up as much as you can. But more importantly, think about, have I approached this topic in a way where, with whatever field you're looking at, I'm expressing effectively what the language and the culture of that field is, so that my audience can relate with what I have to say. So just wanted to record a short message for you folks, give you some encouragement, and I'm looking forward to reading your final drafts in a couple days.